people think I'm crazy because I don't take deposits up front.
Oh.
I don't. And I don't on purpose because life happens. And if someone has to cancel last minute, people are like, well, you should have had the money for that day. Like you reserved that day for them. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm a person too.
Yeah.
And if something happened and I gave $500 to save a date for someone and I really needed that money back or something and they're fighting with me, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
So I always say, if someone cancels, that's God's way of saying I needed a break that day.
You're smart, you're motivated, you want to do something big. You're on the verge of being a young boss, and we're going to help you get there. I'm your host, Isabel Garino, and welcome to the Young Boss Podcast, where youth is your power. I am so excited to introduce you to today's guest. From a journalism major who started her career in PR to working at a fertility clinic and once as a traveling photographer, today's guest is Jamila Stewart, owner of the incredible company Events by Jamila. I know Jamila from way back when we were kids, and it is an honor to have her on the show today. Welcome, Jamila.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. What was your first exposure to entrepreneurialism?
Honestly, being a mom, my son. So my son's birthday parties, and I just knew what I wanted. I knew what I needed. I'm always so particular.
Okay.
So I had to make everything so I can really bring the vision. His second birthday was where I did my first balloon garland.
Okay.
And then I didn't think anything of it because, I was working at a fertility clinic. I had a good job.
Yeah.
Then it kind of, one thing came from another. And then I became a photographer after that fertility job. And I realized, how do I make pictures and parties
go
together?
Okay.
And so when I was a photographer, I was a child photographer. So I would go into different daycares every single day. I had a certain amount of props, a certain amount of poses I had to do. So I had to do something called flow poses. Yeah. And so I learned how to use the same set a million different ways. Oh. And then I realized, parents really like pictures.
Yeah.
So then I started offering custom sets for people to do freelance photography. Yeah. But I hated the editing.
Oh, okay.
So I'm okay, this is not for me. So I'm if I can have another photographer, but I can make the set. I love making the set. I love making my little, set look super cute.
Yeah.
So, I realized I need to do something with this. And then it became
it's literally what you're doing now. You're creating
literally
sets.
Backdrops, So I was so then I'm okay, I'm the little backdrop queen.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of trickled. People are like, can you do this in my house? Or can you do this at my salon? I've done interior for salons. I just want a place to take pictures all the time.
Yeah.
And so I just figured how to make the pictures and then the party stuff kind of marry. And then
I didn't even think about that, salons, because all the girls who want, their hair photos or all the different stuff, that's such a great.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, cool. So tell me a little bit about, I know you are known famously for your balloons.
Yeah.
All of our friends love to use you for your balloons, but people don't necessarily they think they can do it on themselves, right? So how do we get the word out there? How did you get the word out there? How are people coming to you? Yeah. What marketing are you doing?
Honestly, I know I want to say, I hate to say never, but very minimal. I've really never paid for marketing.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from just having a marketing background. I just know how to make relationships with people. So that was my thing. I was a public relations, a relationship manager.
So you know what to do.
Yeah, I know how to make those relationships with people.
Right.
But what I would do, honestly, is I would look at events in Arizona, and then I would call those people hi, I do balloons. Can I donate balloons for you? Oh. And then so I would do things for free. I would literally give my services away just so people can say oh, Jamila did this, or
exposure.
Whatever. Yeah. And so I didn't even have a name then, I would just do it. So people knew, and they would call me. And thankfully, my dad is a pastor here, so he's super vetted in the community. So I kind of knew, a lot of people, but it's a totally different world.
Yeah.
It's just a totally different world. People at churches are not worried about balloons.
Yeah.
They're worried about tithes and communion and stuff. So, I'm like, how do I figure this out? But I definitely would just offer.
I love that. What is so attractive to you about owning your own business? Obviously, you know, you've worked for other people, but what makes this so different and makes you like never want to turn back?
Honestly, again, being a mom, just like I needed time.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to be present with my baby, and I would get written up for going to the doctor with him or something, like just little silly stuff.
Yeah.
And I would tell them like, if it's between this job and my son, I'm always picking my son. So I just hated feeling guilty, like that mom guilt, like, am I working enough or am I working too less, like too little, you know? And, you know, being a young mom and kind of not in your career, in your purpose, like you're always conflicted, like you're always conflicted. And so just wanting to be there with him, I'm like, I can't go back. Cause you know, now it's like, take your baby to work every day. You know, granted he has school, he's just going to first grade now, but
the time freedom.
It was just the time. I just needed time with him, and I wanted time with him, and I wanted something that was fun for him too, that would inspire him, you know? So because my dad worked for himself. I was around a lot of entrepreneurs growing up, or a lot of Black owned business stuff. So I knew I was a rebel. So I'm like,
I got to do my own thing then.
I don't like people telling me what to do. And I'm like clocking in, and it just wasn't for me. So
it's so funny. So many business owners say that. They're like, I just knew I couldn't work for someone else, you know, or they tried and they're like, this is just miserable. So I love that's that you relate to that too. And the time freedom, it's so important.
It's so much. And I work a lot. Like, don't get me wrong, like I work a lot, but there are days I can still put my baby to sleep, and there are days when I'm up till 2:00 in the morning blowing up balloons, but I'm still home, you know? So I knew I just needed to be there. I knew it was a goal for me when my baby started school. I always said, okay, I have 5 years to figure it out, because I want to be able to cook him breakfast, take him to school, and then pick him up from school every single day. And, you know, obviously it doesn't happen just like that, but more times than not, you know, unless he's carpooling with his best friend, like mama's there to pick him up. And that's what was important to me. So.
I love that. And it is true. It's not always that it's a perfect, like, oh, I have all the time freedom in the world. You know, there's the joke that you're trading your 9 to 5 for a 5 to 9, right?
No,
and
for
so
sure.
sometimes it's like that. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm working so much more, but you can take those breaks when you want, or you can be where you want. And so I think that's really great too. When it comes to starting a business and having a newborn, there's obviously a lot of risk involved. Were you ever scared? What did it take from you to really take those next steps and make that happen?
Honestly, faith was everything for me. So because before I was entrepreneur, I had 3 jobs like before. So I, you know, just in corporate America for years, and that was stable, that was comfortable because I had benefits. I knew that around the clock, you know, I knew that job. But I prayed, I fasted, I prayed, and I was like, God, I need something. Like I need a sign. And so I remember, I want to say it was 2018. So my son was 1.5. And, I left that job, but I saved to quit. I planned to quit. You know, my favorite quote is, and I don't remember who said it, but it's like, people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. And so I'm a planner, you know? So even if it's a faulty plan, like there's something scribbled somewhere, you know, like I'll put a little vision board down or something, like manifest it. But so I saved money and I fasted. I prayed and prayed and prayed. And I'm like, God, I need something. And then I prayed, it was a 30-day fast. And so on that 30th day, I got another job making double the money at the fertility clinic. And so I'm like, okay, God, this is it. But I ended up leaving that job about 6 months in. And so that was another thing that was super scary. So it's like another really good paying job, corporate money, you know, just all the things that I was so afraid, because I do have a little person that's relying on me. And I knew like my breastfeeding journey was coming to an end. He was going to eat a lot more, like all those things. But again, if I didn't learn what I learned from leaving the other job, I wouldn't have been so confident in my decision to leave this job. So then I did that. I left that job, and that job I remember was so miserable and the boss and I like did not get along. I put my 2 weeks in, and she's like, I would rather you leave and I'll just pay you for the 2 weeks. So I was just like, this lady is terrible.
Wow.
Yeah. So she was like, I'd rather you just leave and look for another job rather than sitting here for 2 weeks.
Rude.
Yeah. She was the worst. She was the worst. So yeah, I left that job. And then so I was like, fine, whatever. I still get my same money and I'm with my baby.
Yeah.
So I didn't care. So then a couple months, I don't even remember the time frame, but then I became a traveling photographer.
Okay.
And that, a lot of quick money.
Yeah.
Easy to do.
Yeah.
The editing I hated, but it was so hard because I was away from my son.
Yeah.
So I would cry.
Yeah.
Like cry. And because my region was Nevada, Utah, California, and here.
Oh, so you were like gone.
I was gone. Yeah. And sometimes I'd have to drive, like I'd be shooting a school here and then I'd have to be in California or Nevada at 5 a.m. the next day to, so I would be crying, driving like the worst.
Yeah.
So again, saved all my little money.
Yeah.
But then COVID happened.
Yeah.
They had all these, like
restrictions.
Yeah. And these, but also the payment, like the emergency funds for like employees that couldn't work and we couldn't be in schools because all the schools were shut down.
Yeah.
So my company was able to provide some like severance type of thing.
Okay.
So I was still getting paid from that. So that helped me a lot. And so that was kind of like funding kind of what's next.
Yeah.
And then so that's when I started like dabbling in balloons because I'm like, how do I figure? Because so that was where that idea of, okay, people love balloons and people will pay for balloons no matter what financial situation they're going. I mean, pay for pictures. Pay for pictures. So they will pay for their children's pictures. Yeah. So that's when that idea came to mind, noticing how parents they will spend that money on their babies. Okay. And I'm like, so will I. And some of these schools were in really, less fortunate neighborhoods and areas and that they did not have it, but they're like, I'll figure out how to get my baby's preschool photos. So that sparked interest. So I'm like, okay, this is my in. Yeah. So marry the two companies. And so when I was basically on that downtime during COVID from that photography job, I had my brain was just going. Yeah. So I had the time to create Events by Jamila. And then COVID happened because remember there's an ordinance here in Arizona, no more gathering than 10. Yeah. You couldn't. So people were sneaking, having parties. Yeah. So people would call me and like, can you just decorate my house? Can you do something? And I'm like, yeah. And I would go in there, I would wear a mask, I would bring my Lysol, so I would spray everything when I was done. Yeah. So I'm like the cleaning lady, the clean balloon lady. So I was just sneaking, doing parties. And then really that's where my business started. Like COVID was terrible for a lot of people. You know, it was. There were parts of it terrible for me, but it truly like started my business and taught me how to be creative. And like when your back is against the wall,
you're going to do it.
Well, Mama Bear is going to figure it out.
You're going to do it. I love that. And now you're literally doing even better than you were working the corporate jobs, working all these other jobs.
I was able to just and obviously it fluctuates, but I was able to look at 80-hour paycheck and realize like, oh, someone will pay me one event for what I would work 80 hours for. Yeah. So, and granted, it's a lot of work, so it's worth it. Yeah. And I know that I knew I was in my purpose when two things that stuck out to me when someone called me to do a party for someone that I didn't like, but I was still just as excited just because I'm like, oh my God, what a fun theme. And I'm like, I really didn't like this person, but I'm like, look at me growing. Because you're willing to work with them. I was just so excited because I just wanted to do the party. Yeah. And then when I'm like tired, tired, and I'll go do a party. And then I'll have all this energy when I'm done, like creating. I'm like, okay, this is for me. Like, how do I get this burst of energy? Yeah,
it's not draining to you. It uplifts you.
It really fills me up, and just to help people make beautiful memories is just
your events are spectacular. I mean, everyone I've gone to, it's like, oh my gosh, this is insane. So and all the photos you post, I'm always like loving it. So it's really fun, and I know definitely you are making so many cool memories for all the people that you're able to service their events for. Yes. What is the vision for your company? Where do you see yourself in the future?
I definitely want to take a step back because I'm tired. Yeah. So because I do it all by myself. You are busy. I do it all by myself, even when it's tables and chairs. I have gotten smarter over the years, like not taking too much on because I'm 4 years in, but I've just gotten a little bit smarter with my booking. Like I would book myself to the point where Like one time I did 9 events in one day by myself and I finished with 6 minutes to spare. Like I wanted to cry. And what's so funny is because I have a work vehicle, I was running out of gas. Yeah. And so I was like, it's in my route to run home. I'll switch cars, switch the balloon, keep going. And then I finished 6 minutes to spare.
Oh my gosh.
But that stuff drives me crazy.
Yeah.
So my vision is to just take a step back, have larger scale events, bigger budgets, clients with bigger budgets and stuff, because I can't make everyone happy, you know, and I had to learn that I'm a people pleaser, or my client's budget is not my responsibility so I had to learn that, and like, that's okay, you know, because at first I felt like that's wrong. So, and it's not. So just work less, more money, like everyone. Work less, more money. But
who's been like your favorite client? Or favorite event you've ever done?
Maybe, I would say like this past week, I had a really fun sorority convention, and to go back and do everything, to change everything every single day for a couple of days in a row. I really enjoyed that. It gave me crazy anxiety leading up, because there were different balloon colors every day. We had marquee letters, and to have to change out everything, make sure the spelling was correct, to stack letters, like all that stuff was nerve-wracking to get it. They were very precise, you know?
Yeah.
And I sketch out all my designs for people, and then they were changing things. So just to make it, execute it for them, it was so nerve wracking. But once I did it, I'm like, okay, girl, like do your thing. So it was really good. So that was fun. I loved it. And all the girls, like the energy of a sorority, like
it's so fun.
They were so fun. Like every single day, they like the nicest people in the world. So I really enjoyed that. But I don't know, like there's so many different, there's so many different
clients,
amazing things. But I do have a bunch of return clients that I do like monthly installs for, like their restaurants or their stores or venue. And I'm so grateful for those people, because those are guaranteed things, like guaranteed money so it's like, those are things I'm like, oh, that's my phone bill, that's my car note, so it's like that blesses me. So I'm so grateful. So whenever they call me, even if they call me the day before, I'm like, okay, just because it's you, I'll stay up all night.
I'll make it happen.
Yeah, so I do love those return clients.
Do you have any clients that you're like, okay, when they call, maybe it's a new client, right? And they call and they start asking for things or saying certain, that you're just like, it's not going to be a fit.
Yeah. People say like, Jamila, your website doesn't have descriptions. Your website doesn't have this. And I do that on purpose because I need you to call me, because I can tell from that initial conversation if you're for me or not. Okay. Because that's another thing about having a business, because baby, I will turn you away. Yeah. So all money is not good money. No. And I will not be disrespected. Yep. I will not be undermined. Like, I don't like that. And some people are very nasty. And I have unfortunately had those encounters. Actually, like even about 2 months ago, I had to tell one of my, like, I will never do another event for you again. And I ended up sending her a text. And the only reason I did address her is because I hired multiple vendors for that event. And she was nasty to every single one of them. And so I'm like, they came on behalf of me, on behalf of you, so like your daughter's birthday, should be beautiful. Yeah. And I told her that, and I'm like, it should just be beautiful, nothing less, and you made everyone uncomfortable, and that's not okay. Yeah. Because they came for me. Yeah. Like, to help you and execute an event. And she was really upset that I told her that, I have a standard of professionalism and respect that Events by Jamila requires. And if you are not a law-abiding citizen, you gotta go. So I'm like, no, thank you, ma'am. No. So yeah, God bless her in her journey, but I'm like, you're not. It's not a fit.
No. That's good. And I actually think it's really good that you are willing to say and have that requirement of, hey, we have to talk. We have to see if it's a good fit for both parties. Yeah. Because if it's not, that is a waste of your time, their money. Everybody's unhappy at the end of it. So having that, like, hey, this is how I decide, this is how I determine, and then even being upfront and telling that customer, like, hey, it's no longer a fit, like we're not gonna be working together going forward. Oh yeah. I think it's good because it's setting that standard so that, first of all, you don't want recommendations from her, so you don't want her running off telling people.
And it's funny because the person who referred her to me, she's really particular too. Okay. But she's a return client, so I dealt with her a couple years, so it's like, it's okay.
She's kind, but particular.
I know how to deal with her, but I'm like, oh, I should have known, honey, like the where you came from, like, And I just should have known, but it was just all over the place. But one thing I'm so grateful for, and that goes back to why relationships to me are so important, because some of the vendors called me and were like, thank you, like, for defending me, like, for having my back. And I'm like, honey, if you're going to get anything from Events by Jamila, it is a defense. Okay. Like, I am going to defend you to the death, because you didn't have to be here. Yeah. But I asked you to be here. And so I'm like, I want you to know, I feel that you deserve to be respected. Yep. No matter what you did. Yep. Like, I trust your craft. I don't just pick anyone off the street. Right. So it's like, I know your photography, or I know your venue, like, whatever it is. Yeah. Like, I trust you to be in my circle.
Right. And you want them to work with you again.
For sure.
You don't want them to be turned off because of that person who you're already thinking, I'll never work with them. So
yeah. And another thing, when I book people like that, I don't connect my client with that vendor. You it goes take care through of it all. Me. Yeah. So she's like, well, give me her number. And I said, absolutely not. Yeah. Like, absolutely not. Like, that is what you hire me for. I'm the head honcho, honey. And no, thank you. So,
okay, I love it. Do you ever have to deal with family members or friends who are like, oh, but just, do it for me for free? Like, do you have to deal with a lot of that?
A little bit, but people know, like, Jimmy, like, I'm a no BS type of girl. Okay. So people don't even really come to me like that. People will. I do get a lot of, like, bloggers that, like, well, if I post you. Okay. And I'm just like, no, thank you. Because all that does is bring your 1 million followers to ask me for free things too. Yep. So I tell them no. And I do a deal, but no one's getting anything. I don't do anything for free unless I want to. Right. And so, but that is something that I've stayed true to since the beginning of my business. At random, I do give free events away, and people don't know. Like, I don't post about it, or it's just, I'll send an invoice and then I'll waive everything, and people will call me back like crying, like, why did you do that? And I'm like, God just told me you were the one that needed it this month. So I do still do things like that, because I just feel like if both of my hands are closed receiving all the time, like, and I'm not giving, I can't receive more. So I always try to give, so I just feel like good karma comes back.
Absolutely. So, and I talk about that a lot, actually, when it comes to money, like having that mindset, you are always going to be more abundant. You're always going to have more coming to you, more opportunities, more referrals, more whatever it is. But the more closed fisted you are and holding on to every penny, it will be harder to maintain, and it will not come to you as openly.
No, it doesn't. And that's, I literally pray that every single day. I say, God bless me so I can be a blessing to others. Like, I truly believe that I'm here to help other people, like, make something better.
I love that.
And even if it's with parties and balloons.
Yes. So, yes. Yeah. Okay. If somebody wanted to get started in event planning or in balloons, what first steps should they take? What goals should they be going after?
Well, I tell anyone, even if it's not balloons, business, regardless, I tell everyone to be consistent with everything. Just be consistent. I'm such a mind over matter type of girl. Yeah. So, once you put your mind to it, you can do it. Like, it's just really that mental break you have to get through. Try something for 30 days. Do it for 30 days consistently. If you can stay consistent, if you still love it from day one, when you have blisters on your fingers, if it's balloons, whatever, if it's calluses on your hands from golfing, like, whatever it is that you're taking on new, if you can stick with it, then keep doing it and put everything that you have in a smart way. What I did at first, like I said, I always budgeted and planned with money. Before I was full-time, like, I had like my unemployment, but I would set a monetary goal. So I would write down, okay, I want to make at least $275 from every party. Okay. That was my first starting, but I will take $150. Okay. So that was the minimum. That was my minimum. Okay. When someone willingly paid me that, I was like, okay, I'm onto something. So then I was like, if someone wants a dinner party, that's tables. I already have tables, that I own tables from back in the day. My mom had, whatever, just picnic tables. So $500. It'll be a $500 party, and I will always make it seem as if I'm giving something away. So on my invoices, it'll always have a set price, and then I will always discount it. So people know, like, they're going to come back to me because I'm giving them a good deal. Yeah. And I would, like, sometimes I wouldn't even make any money, but I needed the portfolio. Yep. So another thing, never say no. Never say no. If you can't do something, try, figure it out. If I can't do it, I will say I can do it, and I will pay someone else to do it, and I will bill you from Events by Jamila. So I just never say no. And you know who I learned that from? Big Mark Smith from Honey Bears. He said, never say no to a customer.
Okay.
And he taught me that since I was a little girl. So just writing down like monetary expectations made it tangible, made it realistic for me. So it was in arm's reach. And then once I really got it, I'm like, okay, bigger, go bigger. Yep. So then I was like, I need to make $5,000 a month. You know, when I was starting, you know, maybe it was very at random, you know, but it was still like $5,000 for just doing a hobby, a craft, you know? So, and then
for crafting?
And then, so I realized time is everything. So it's like, I can work more if I had a bigger vehicle, you know? So then I traded in like my little SUV to get a minivan, you know, put 60,000 miles on my minivan in a year, you know? So it's like, did all these things to just constantly grow. So it's just, I guess my advice to someone is just invest in yourself, like know you're worth it. Like once you prove it to yourself that you can do it, just keep doing it. Big Mark Smith, they like this Honey Bears family and the Smiths have been such an instrumental part in my whole life, my upbringing. And so my work truck, I bought from them. And then, so I bought a U-Haul box truck from the 15-foot box truck from Mark Smith from Honey Bears Barbecue. And I rode around with Honey Bears Barbecue logos for 10 months, you know, and people were like, girl, you need to do this and do that, you know, you need to wrap it and blah, blah, blah. It was such an honor to me to ride around because people don't realize or know, like Honey Bears was my first job as a little girl. So to call out order numbers at 8 years old and, you know, to get little tips, working a cash register, learning basic math, and then to be able to have my own business and buy a truck from them cash, you know, just hard-earned money. This is all my money, you know, it's and to buy circle. It. Life is full circle. So even my truck is painted now, but I have a little Honey Bears truck on my truck. So that way cute. It's like, you know where I came from. Be consistent and invest in yourself. Learn from people, learn from other people's mistakes so you don't make the same ones. Always be open to learning, be open to failing. I love that. You know, so and let that, you know, just help you get to the next level.
Let it guide you.
Write that money stuff down and you'll get it.
I like that, setting the monetary goals. Did you take out a loan to start your business? Did you use your own money?
Did not.
What'd you do?
No, I did not. So I used my own money. Like I would save, and at first I would just want to break even, you know, from parties. And
buy what you need for that party.
Buy what I need. But then the way I would book my next thing, and I've been very blessed to like never have the same theme, but my creativity been broad enough to create something that I already had and make it make sense for the next party. You've
never had the same theme?
Maybe twice.
Wow.
Maybe twice.
So then I'm assuming then you don't do, here's my 10 themes you can choose from.
No.
It's literally pick whatever you want.
Everything is custom. I try to make everything custom to everyone.
Wow.
Yeah. Even if I have had something similar. I'll change it. Because I'm like, I need, like, it'll be similar. Like I had someone do a 90s party and then someone did a 90s gamer. Like it was like different, but it was like kind of like, whatever, 90s, you know, like throwback. And then like, it was a little similar. I make everything custom. Wow. And I think that's why like I can be so fluid and so accommodating to people because and I'll paint anything. I'm very creative, so I can make anything. So
do you have a warehouse you store everything or a storage unit?
No, I don't. Thankfully, listen, my mom's getting sick of me, but thankfully my mom has a pretty big house. So she's like, girl, don't buy another couch. She's like, don't buy another couch because I have so many love seats and like just things that I rent for photo props. But I have life-size dinosaurs. Like I literally have T-Rexes and Raptors. Okay, well, you might need a storage unit soon. So I definitely need, and then my truck is full always to the back. But I don't have a warehouse right now. Okay. And one day, but that goes along with being a single mom. You know, like I don't have time to run to a warehouse or work out of a workspace because I got to put a baby to bed, you know? And he's 6, but not a baby, but he's still my baby. You know, like I have to be there and put him to sleep. Or if I'm working out of a venue or something, I can't leave him, you know, like I need to be at home. No, that's great. I get the best of both worlds.
Okay. So you started with your own money. I think that's really inspiring too, because a lot of people who do want to get started in business, they're nervous, right? Do I take out a loan? Do I ask a family member for, you know, some money? Do I try to save up as much as I can to do it on my own? And I think something that's inspiring for you too is it's not like you went crazy and went out and bought every letter of the alphabet and hundreds of thousands of balloons and all this stuff. It's like you were like party by party, and we grow party by party. What's there now, your stockpile, and you took it a little bit at a time, so it wasn't this like massive. I need $100,000 up front to start this, and I think sometimes people get overwhelmed by that, thinking they have to be at year 10 right away.
Yeah, no, and it's a process and you have to trust it. And my process might not work for someone else, but it works for me. And sometimes it's even hard for me. Like people think I'm crazy because I don't take deposits up front. Oh. I don't. And I don't on purpose because life happens. And if someone has to cancel last minute, people are like, well, you should have had the money for that day. Like you reserved that day for them. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm a person too. Yeah. And if something happened and I gave $500 to save a date for someone and I really needed that money back or something and they're fighting with me, I don't want to deal with that. Yeah. I don't want to deal with that. Yeah. So I always say, if someone cancels, that's God's way of saying I needed a break that day because I don't like it wasn't the money for me when I started. Yeah. And that's another big thing. Don't do it just for the money. Yeah. Because money will come. I always said that, like money would come. Yep. I just wanted to be happy. I wanted to be present. I wanted to be living and walking in my purpose. Yeah. And money comes, because I'm a good person and I'm confident in that and God will bless me, So I didn't of course you need money to survive and, to make the world go round, but
you shouldn't be making the decision only off that.
Exactly. You shouldn't cause like I say, all money is not good money. Yeah. So there are things that I turn down. I don't care how much, there are things that I turn down just because, but the money will come. Just put your heart first. I
love that.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
Thank you.
Where can our listeners find out more about you? Or if they want to book you for an event, where do they go?
So if you see my truck driving down the street, I always do giveaways too. That's another thing. I do giveaways. I try to do them once a month. Yeah. If you see me driving and it's a big Events by Jamila, one side is brick wall and with balloons coming out. The other side is like a girl floating away on balloons. So if you see my truck, send me a picture on @Events by Jamila on Instagram or eventsbyjamila.com. My phone number is everywhere. If you send me a picture or a video, I'll put you in a giveaway. Okay, and so fun. I pick a random person and it's just a small monetary thing or whatever you buy it with, but I try to give people something once a month.
That's fun.
And so I get like random videos. People are like, I've seen your truck 3 times now. And I'm like, yay, I love this. So yeah, if you see my truck, just everything is @Events by Jamila.
Love it. Yeah. Okay. That's where we'll find you. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Young Boss Podcast with me, Isabel Garino. Be sure to like, share, and follow on Instagram and TikTok. And let us know in the comments if you found a business that helps call to your life's purpose, your mission. I want to know more from you guys. Remember, youth is your power.